The recording starts.
Yes, I see you're recording. Let me put my headphones on. It's gonna better sound.
Yes. All right. I think we'll just start then. Make sure nothing's in here. No. All right. So first of all, thank you, Zoé, for having this interview with us. This is also the first time
Thank
that
you.
I'm doing it online, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'd like to start by asking what your movie is about, but why you decided to make it about a girl falling in love with this attraction.
For me, the movie is about the search for one person's identity and ultimately search for their sexuality and their romance interests. So it's about a young, it's kind of a modern fairy tale, I would say, about a young girl who falls in love with a machine and decides to tell her mother about it, who's obviously not very happy about the good news. So that's really what the movie is about. It's about finding who you are and kind of trying to get the world to understand you, no matter how weird you are or how awkward you are to them. And then I guess what inspired the film was that I read an article about a woman who had fallen in love with and married the Eiffel Tower, which made me, yeah, you read that? Yeah. It definitely made me smile at first, just because I think it's so absurd when you first hear about it. It sounds so absurd. But then I guess I was really curious about it, and it kind of stuck with me for a long time. And so I contacted this woman who's called now Erica Eiffel, because she took the Eiffel Tower's last name. And she just explained to me that relationship like a love relationship. And she just kind of seemed so rational and so open about her relationship that it really took me by surprise. I think I was expecting someone who was more, and I've told her this, who was maybe more freakish or weird, and then I ended up just finding someone telling me about their love story, and I think that was so surprising. And the act also of marrying the Eiffel Tower and making it public was so strong that that's kind of when I realized that there was maybe more than just a funny fact in the newspaper, to this. And that's when I started thinking about, well, there's a real character there, and if there's a character, there might be a story about it. So it's kind of how the whole project started.
Yeah, and does she know that you made a film about this? Did she see it already?
Of course, yes. No. She knew about the film from the start. She knew. Sorry, that's my phone moving. She knew obviously from our conversation. I approached her saying that I was a filmmaker and that I was interested in knowing a little bit more about her. And I really kept her involved at the start of the writing, and then at some point, I knew that I didn't want to tell her story, but I wanted to make it my own and to use fiction to be able to tell a fairy tale story and not just like a truth, trying to be the psychological an analysis of that, of that romance. So I wanted to be on the more emotional side. I wanted to have fictional liberties. So I quickly told her that I was kind of going to go on my own and maybe write something. And then I kept her up to date when I wrote a script. And I was like, I've written something, but I didn't send it to her. And I called her again when the movie was done, because she lives in Berlin and the movie was playing at the Berlin Film Festival. So it was the perfect place to show her on the big screen with a big audience. It was a room, like more than 800 people in the room, and she was there. So it was very nerve-wracking because I wasn't sure, whether or not she was going to like it and enjoy it or feel, endeared by it, or on the contrary, she would be offended by the film. And in the end, it's really cool because I saw her and she was laughing with the film because the film has comical elements to it, because we do acknowledge that this may sound absurd to people, but at the same time, she was crying with, other people in the audience, crying about, that quest to get people to understand you. So no, she really loved the film, and I'm very happy that she did.
Yeah, really
she felt,
cool.
I think, respected.
Yeah, it's also a story about her as a person, her story about yeah, falling in love with an object. But was it also for you maybe an emotional like roller coaster, exploring something about yourself or a story about yourself? Could you say that?
Well, I don't know that it's about myself, but you know, as a filmmaker and especially as a writer director, you put obviously a lot of who you are in the film as well. And I think the reason why that Erica's story resonated so much to me, it's because it was also just about a woman who was really different and who was learning to accept that difference and to own up to it to other people. And so it's a story of growth. And you know, when I started writing the script, I was, I guess, in my early 20s, very early 20s, and I was right in the middle of that story of growth. You know, being a young adult, you're looking for who you are, you're looking to get your parents to see you for who you really are now and not for the kid that you used to be. And you know, there is a whole journey there. You're looking for your own sexual identity. So I think there were many themes that I could relate to, even though obviously my own, you know, self trajectory is not the same. You know, I didn't fall in love with an object or anything. You know, unfortunately, I would be way more original if I did, but I didn't. So, but you know, I think, and that's what the film kind of is trying to say, is that no matter what your own specific journey is, we're kind of all going through similar journeys, and we can connect to each other through those universal themes.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. When I watched it, I also realized how much emotions I felt at the same time. I was like going all over because I was feeling sorry sometimes for her, but also a little bit awkward. But it was also really realistic and honest. But sometimes I didn't really, yeah, connect to her. Like I sometimes did understand it, but sometimes it was just a little bit confusing to me. But I thought, it's so cool that you told this story, because I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, but I think that's the point. You know, the film is meant to kind of take you in many different directions, and everybody will react differently to the film because it's such a visceral film and a visceral subject matter. You know, it's when you say, oh, this is about a woman who falls in love with an object, a machine, here in this case an attraction, no matter how beautiful it is in the story and in the film, it is a subject matter that will arise a lot of questions, a lot of curiosity, sometimes anger. So, you know, depending on who you are, you'll react differently to just the subject matter and want to see it or not. But I think what the film hopefully does is that it allows you to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable when watching this movie, and it's okay to laugh with the movie as well, and it's okay to cry and connect with the character as well, even if you don't understand it. It's okay to, you know, intellectually you don't understand it, but like emotionally you're still understanding that you know, that battle that she has with herself and with her mother in telling about, in talking about this coming out, because this is really, you know, a coming out story. So yeah, I think it was the point to sometimes really be with her and sometimes be questioning her, our main character, a little bit more. And so when you are questioning the main character, there's always the mother character that you kind of can fall back on to be like, oh, I also understand the mother for rejecting this and for not taking part into that story, you know, and for rejecting that love, that coming out.
Yeah. All right. I think that was the last question for the interview, because we have to keep it a little bit short.
Okay.
So stop the recording. Thank you for that.